Hi there and welcome back to yet another video. My name is Matthias and today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to get the best possible footage in snowy conditions. Coming up. Much better. Filming in winter time out in the snow can be very challenging. Following those 5 tips will help you get the best possible footage that you can get. Tip number 1, keep your batteries warm. Batteries tend to lose their capacity much faster in colder conditions, so you really want to make sure that you keep the batteries warm before you place it into your camera. That's easiest done by having them in your breast pocket, either of your jacket or your sweater, so that way you keep them nice and warm, and once you place them in the camera, there's a high likelihood of them lasting a little longer than if you place them in the camera cold. Tip number 2, whenever possible, use a camera and lens system that is weather sealed. Now, that might not be very obvious, but when you're shooting out in the snow, shooting out in the winter time, it can quite commonly happen that you encounter bad weather, that it is snowing while you're shooting, and snow is nothing else than frozen rain. So you got to make sure that you protect your equipment. Now, if you don't have a camera that is weather sealed and you're shooting out in the snow, you might have to use like an umbrella or something to protect your camera from the snow, or even like a plastic bag that you wrap around your camera. If your camera is weather sealed, it will work just fine if you shoot with it in snowy conditions. Now, the camera that I'm using for the shoots that I do up in the mountains is the Panasonic GH5 and the GH5S, and they're both weather sealed, using them with the native Micro Four Thirds lenses from Leica. These ones are also weather sealed, so I don't need to worry about getting the camera wet and having some malfunctions with the camera, which is fantastic because it gives me a peace of mind and I can concentrate on the work at hand. Tip number 3 to make sure that you get the best possible footage out in the snow is to use ND filters. Normally I suggest a variable ND filter on your lens, simply because the snow does reflect a lot of the sunshine, and in particular on a nice and sunny day, everything will just be blown out. Depending on what lens you're using also and how far you can close the aperture, you will just not be able to darken the picture, the image, far enough so that it is a usable image. So you will need to go and put an ND filter on your lens. It's going to make it much easier. Plus, you will be able to keep that aperture wider open and you will get some more depth of field in your shots. So ND filters, an absolute must when you're filming out in the mountains and in the snow. Also, depending on how bright your LCD screen is on your camera, you might want to use a monitor hood to make sure that you can actually see what you're filming. Sometimes, if it's a very bright day, the screen will just be too bright, you won't really see much on it. Having a a monitor hood on your monitor will improve your ability to see what is on the screen and basically what you're filming. Now, it can be very interesting to film out in the winter when it's snowing heavily. You can get some really cool shots that way, but you need to be aware of a couple of things. Obviously, same as when it's raining outside, the snow also comes from a certain direction, so you need to be aware of where the snowflakes are coming from, so you can position yourself so the snowflakes don't land on your camera lens and get you all those spots that are not very nice in your image. Now, a way to avoid this, or to help with that a little bit, is to use your lens hood. Attach that to your camera or to your lens better, and that way the angle that the snowflakes can actually hit your lens will decrease, and it's going to be less likely for snowflakes to end up on your lens itself. Still, be aware where you're standing, be aware where the snow is coming from, so that you can position yourself in a way that minimizes the risk of getting any snow flakes or moisture onto your camera lens. And last but not least, tip number 5 is to make sure that you stay warm. And this is a very obvious one, but it's also a very important one. It's not a lot of fun to shoot out in the snow. If you're cold, if you're miserable, if you're freezing, you won't enjoy it. You won't really get the shots that you went out to get in the first place. So make sure that you dress properly, that you have warm clothes, that you have a hat, that you're using warm winter clothes. When you're shooting up in cold conditions and in cold weather and out in the snow, it will make the whole experience a lot better, and it will definitely help to get you the best possible footage that you can get. And that was it, guys. Those were my 5 tips for shooting out in the winter and out in the mountains and the snow. I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope you got something out of it, and I hope that the winter will still stay with us for a little longer so that you can go out and practice some of those tips on your own videos. And I'm very curious to hear how you go on with that. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, and as always, please do hit that like button. It does mean a lot to me. Also consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet, so you're not missing out on any future videos about filmmaking, underwater cinematography and traveling that will be up on this channel in the near future. And that's it from me for today, and now go out and play in the snow.